Welcome everyone to Virtual Closeness, and that's what we're calling it. And the reason we're calling it Virtual Closeness is because at the moment we're practicing social distancing. But a lot of people are being affected by it in negative ways, right? People are getting depressed, people are dealing with anxiety. A lot of people are lonely. So we want to change all that because honestly, this whole social distancing thing is pretty weird. So if you guys can enable your cameras, please, just so that we can see you guys and create a more interactive experience, a more personal experience. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about, is love limitation, freedom, or fulfillment? And really fortunate to have Gurudev here. And before we get started, I just had this one little quote that I wanted to share with you guys. I was meditating on it while the kirtan was going. It's all about sacred time. And, one of the takeaways that we can, if we look at what's going on right now, I think one of the positive things, because we're always looking for a silver lining in these situations. And one of them is the fact that now we have a lot of time on our hands. And more so than just time is sacred time. And in this particular quote, it says that we need sacred time every day when we put our external world on hold and make a connection that transcends this world. In our materialistic world and life, doing so is essential. We tend to be overly absorbed in pursuing material goals. And in doing so, we are starving our soul. One of the reasons why we wanted to do this is to continue to feed our souls. Because as you guys know, we have Krishna Cove every Thursday, and we have our programs that go on throughout the course of the week. But we wanted to continue this so that we can at least have that association with each and every one of you guys. So anyways, I'm going to stop speaking here, and I'm going to go ahead and ask Gurudev to take it away.
Hey, Hare Krishna to all.
Hare Krishna.
It's good to see all of you. How many folks do we have on there, Govinda Madhav?
I believe we have about 9 people on as so far.
Fantastic. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Happy Sunday.
Madhav was saying that we always look for a silver lining sometimes when we're having problems or problematic situations. So actually what we have here is a golden lining. This is a fabulous boon if we only think about it. On the one hand, we're not getting to do everything that we want to do. I want to go to the temple and associate with everybody. I want to go here and do this. I want to go be able to go to the store and buy whatever I want, so and so. However, Krishna has made some arrangement that we can't do any of that. So we have all this extra time. Krishna says, time I am. Kala, eternal time. Krishna is time. So this time that we have, we're having Krishna. Krishna is with us. What do we do with it? What do we do with this extra time? I don't know about you, but I'm reading a lot more, chanting a lot more, talking with you a lot more. We're actually staying in communication. I talk to more people on the phone. I get more messages. I get more communication. I'm getting emails from God brothers that are just touching base and saying, I hope everything is okay. This is very nice. I hate that we're in this situation, but this is very nice that we're looking forward to coming together so much. Like this. So tonight's title is Love Limitation, Freedom, or Fulfillment? So what do I mean by that? We all want to be free, right? Everybody wants to be free. It's not just Americans, but people all over the world want as much freedom as they can get. However, we also want love, don't we? We want the fulfillment that we anticipate that we can get from love. So we want freedom, we want love, and we want the fulfillment. However, isn't love kind of Limiting? I mean, think about it. If you're just dating around, then you may date this girl and date that girl, and are you really totally in love with any of them? Do you have a full-scale love affair going on? No. So at the point where you want to deepen your loving experience with someone, then you have to allow limitation to come in. Now, I'm going to limit my love to this one particular person. You're my special love. So that's a limitation. So can limitation be fulfilling? Think about that. Does anybody have any comments? What do you think, Govindamadava?
Yes.
I would definitely say absolutely yes.
Yeah, positively. Because this freedom that we think we want, do we really want it? I mean, I want to be able to exercise my free will, my God-given free will. We all want that. We're entitled to free will. So I want to maintain my freedom. However, I'm willing to give up as much freedom as I have to get full loving relationship in my life. You see, I think we would all agree with that. When love comes into the picture, it changes everything. I like to talk about love. It's one of my favorite topics for giving Sunday feast class and many, Krishna Cove and many classes. Why? Why is it all about love? Because it's all about love. This is what we're doing this for. We want to reestablish, reawaken our lost, loving relationship with Krishna. This is the only thing that's ever going to make us happy and give us any pleasure whatsoever. We're going through the material world, looking here and looking there for real gratification. And we see that gratification in love. Everyone needs love. Even great villains like, I hope nobody out there is a fan of Adolf Hitler, but if you are, then please accept my obeisances for offending you. But even a demon like Adolf Hitler, he had a great love life. He loved and he was loved. Eva Braun loved this guy a tremendous amount. As a matter of fact, he had a lot of girlfriends. If you read more about him, anyway, that's another. So anyway, he might have been a real jerk by many measures, but he wanted love in his life. It was extremely important. It was so important that he kept his main squeeze, his main love, Eva Braun, with him all the time. So this goes on. Anybody that you can think out there that we think of as a demon, he doesn't want to be without love. None of us want to be with that, like that. Why is that? Because it's the nature of the living entity to be in love with Krishna. It's our nature. What do I mean by it's our nature? It's our eternal position. It's really all we know other than the illusion that we find ourselves in right now. Right now we find ourselves in this illusion thinking that I'm part of this world and I am this body and so on and so forth. And that gives us so much distress because we don't know our true nature. Our true nature is that we're eternal and that we're an eternal loving associate with Krishna. Krishna is the supreme. He's the supreme lover. He makes some pretty supreme demands on us as his lover. So we're going to go to Bhagavad-Gita, 18th chapter. And I'm going to start out with the 65th verse. So, and be thinking about the question, and you can answer and give me your opinion later on. Does love and freedom go together? Can they go together? Okay, Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita 1865, Mammana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mameva shashi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. Translation. Now this is what Krishna is. This is like a lover's demand. Okay? Of course, Krishna is requesting, but listen to how he says this to Arjuna. Always think of me. Become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage to me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So this sounds like Krishna he's being kind of forceful in what he wants. I want you to always think of me. For those of you that are married, doesn't your spouse always want you to think of you, or you to think of them? Isn't it like that? Now, that was good. Yeah. Yeah, that's the nature of the spouse. If the spouse, especially, well, no, I'll go there. If the spouse sees the other spouse thinking of someone else or maybe glancing at someone else, then that could cause some disturbance, right? So this is natural. There is no cure for this. That's not going to go away. I love you. You're my lover. Gee whiz, I want you to think about me all the time. Well, I know you can't because you have to go to work and you have to do so many things. You have to interface with other people. Gee whiz, I'd like you to think about me all the time. Here we see Krishna. He's saying, always think of me. Become my devotee. Worship me and offer me your homage. You see? So Krishna is cutting to the chase. In other words, I want to be serious in this relationship. I want to establish that we love each other fully. We fully love each other. And then it's kind of sweet the way he closes this. He says, thus you will come to me without fail. I want you to come to me. I want you to think of me always. I want you to become my devotee. I want you to worship me, offer your homage to me. And I want you to come to me. And I promise you this because you're my very dear friend. So just analyze this dialogue that's going on here. Krishna's pouring his heart out. Gee whiz, I want you to always think of me. I want you to come to me. And I promise you, because you're my dear beloved and my friend, that if you do this, you'll come to me. I promise you. So Prabhupada says in the purport, the most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and act for him. If we're in love with someone, we are always thinking of them and we're acting for them. You're the spouse, the husband, or the wife, or both, may go to work and work their jobs, but that's an offering to the other spouse. We're doing it for one another. We're going to work, and I'm performing my work for you. You're performing your work for me because we have this household together, you see. So we can see that what Krishna is asking isn't a departure from anything we already know. Have to excuse me, I'm drinking some elderberry juice. It's kind of bitter, but I think it's supposed to help my immune system. So anyway, if I'm making an ugly face, it's because I'm drinking something bitter. And by the way, stop me at any time with questions. All right. So Prabhupada goes on in the purport. One should not become an official meditator. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. Now let me back up. what does Prabhupada mean? One should not become an official meditator. Anybody? Anybody want to offer some answer there? What's Krishna talking? What's Prabhupada talking about here? An official meditator.
That you shouldn't go into the mountains and seclude yourself off and meditate your whole life away.
Precisely. You know, it's just like sometimes, and I hope I'm not stepping on toes, but if I am, I'm sorry, because sometimes I do that. Sometimes we see people come to the kirtan. I know you've all seen this, and there'll be a nice kirtan going on, everyone's joining in, and you see a couple people sitting there, and they're like this. You know, so I always want to go up and to them and say, "What are you doing?" I mean, if you're going to meditate, can you meditate when there's a big rip-roaring kirtan going on around you? So in other words, you can't, I mean, how could you? This isn't the time or place for this deep within meditation. There's too much distraction. All scriptures and any yogi will tell you, if you're going to meditate, you need to get to a solitude place, right? So these are official meditators. A lot of people will tell you, I meditate. I always like to say, that's wonderful. What do you meditate on? Well, you're not supposed to ask that, isn't it? That's hitting below the belt. Well, I meditate on the oneness of the universe and so and so. So in other words, you're just, spiritually chasing your tail. Because how can you meditate on that? Really, what do you get? So you come to the absolute realization that there's a universe out there, and you can absolutely believe that your body, is one with it. Now, is your soul one with it? Come on. Your spirit, the universe is material. How can you be one with the universe? I mean, if there's a good answer to that, I'd love to hear it. So, Prabhupada says, do not become an official meditator. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities are connected with Krishna. He should arrange his life in such a way that throughout the 24 hours, he cannot but think of Krishna. So does that sound practical? Can we actually arrange that? Can we have our life like that? What do you think? That sounds like a big order, doesn't it? But it can certainly be done. You already have the potency to do that. Before you came to this material world and started believing that you are part of it, this is the way your life was. For a pretty long time. I don't know, maybe I'd say eternity. So for eternity, you were doing this. So in other words, Prabhupada's not saying do something impossible, pull a rabbit out of the hat. No, he's saying get back to business as usual before you fell into illusion. So in other words, it may seem like a hard thing for us to realize that can be done. However, it is our very nature. Just basically, we need to learn how to be ourselves. Okay? And that way, throughout the day, 24 hours, we can think of Krishna. Prabhupada goes on, and the Lord's promise is that anyone who is in such pure Krishna consciousness will certainly return to the abode of Krishna, where he will be engaged in the association of Krishna face to face. I always like to point out at this point, this is a difference between the bhakti yogis and other religions. Other religions want to go to the good place too. There's a good place. Some religions say there's a good place and there's a bad place other than this place. Okay, we say there's a good place and there's a bad place, and we're in the bad place. In this bad place that we're in, this cosmic manifestation, this planet Earth is smack dab in the middle. There's planets many, many, many times worse, and there's planets many, many, many times better. We're smack dab in the middle, okay? So if you think that things get bad here, there's a lot more disease and pestilence and lack of peace on the planets beneath us. Planets above us have a lot less, you see, so we're kind of in the middle. So typically in religious practices, they're trying to get you to want to go to the better place. Some of them threaten you that if you don't go to the better place, you're going to go to a worse place. Well, I don't like to use fear to push people to go to Krishna consciousness, but that is kind of true. You see, you could and probably will at some point go back, because you've already been there, to the more hellish planets. We've been in this cosmic manifestation. We've been here for so long, for so many billions of yugas. And we've been everywhere. We've looked under every rock there is to look under. So we've seen these hellish conditions and these hellish planets. So in a way, they're right. I don't like to use the fear method, but there is a good point to realize there. If we don't go forward, we have every possibility of going downward, backward into the more hellish planets. Notice Krishna is not, or Prabhupada's not talking about when we get to the good place, when we get to Krishna's abode, he doesn't say how wonderful it's going to be for you. He doesn't say, gee whiz, you are going to get great this and great that. The food's going to be wonderful. The climate's this. You know, he doesn't say, what does Prabhupada point out? You will be engaged in the association of Krishna face to face. Period. That's the reward, not the place. Of course, the place, Krishna's abode, is very wonderful. Why, it's delightful. Anybody would want to go there. Chances are, when you're there with Krishna, you're not going to notice it very much, because Krishna is so all-attractive. He will steal all of your attention. You will be, at that point, back in your eternal loving exchange with Krishna. You know, when two people are totally head over heels in love, they barely notice what's going on around them. They may not even notice the people around them. So picture you being in a situation with Krishna, right? And you're going to be so attracted and so mesmerized by Krishna, you're not going to notice so much this wonderful place that you're in. You may see some incredibly beautiful flowers and you think, I need to go get those flowers. I want to get those for Krishna, or some beautiful fruits or whatever. So the real prize of going back home, back to Godhead, is Krishna. So Prabhupada goes on, this most confidential part of knowledge is spoken to Arjuna because he is the dear friend of Krishna. Everyone who follows the path of Arjuna can become a dear friend to Krishna and obtain the same perfection as Arjuna. Very interesting observation by Srila Prabhupada. First of all, this is the most confidential of all spiritual knowledge. We were talking about the people who are doing their meditation, meditating on the self within, being one with the universe, etc., etc., etc. But the most confidential part of any knowledge, especially if you want to call it in the category of spiritual knowledge is this right here. Krishna wants you to come to him, come to that supreme personality of Godhead, not become one with his creation. You see, come to him, come and give him your embrace. That's what Krishna wants. That is ultimately what you want, because that's what you left. And if you get to know yourself well, you'll get to understand that is what you want back. You know you're entitled to it. This loving relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead belongs to you. Nothing can take it away. You can lose it by coming in contact with the material energy. But then Krishna sends so much opportunity trying to get you back. All right? Does that make any sense? All right. Prabhupada goes on. These words stress that one should concentrate his mind upon Krishna, the very form with two hands, carrying a flute, the bluish boy with a peaceful face and peacock feathers in his hair. There are descriptions of Krishna found in Brahma Samhita and other literatures. One should fix his mind on this original form of Godhead, Krishna. One should not even divert his attention to other forms of the Lord. The Lord has multi-forms as Vishnu, Narayan, Ram, Varaha, etc. But a devotee should concentrate his mind on the form that was present before Arjuna. This is one of the most important statements of all of Prabhupada's purports. And it should be heeded by all of us. Prabhupada is saying that we should concentrate on this form of Krishna. Now, why? If you offer your worship to and you meditate on Krishna, then at the time of death, you get Krishna. For you to go back home to your original home, Krishna's got to be your number one Lord. We were reading a couple of weeks ago about Gopakumar in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, how he, being a devotee of Krishna, wound up in Vaikuntha. He wasn't in Goloka Vrindavan, he was in Vaikuntha, where Lord Narayan is worshipped. And ultimately, he wasn't so pleased. He wasn't so, at first he was mesmerized. Gee whiz, I'm seeing Lord Narayan. He was knocked over. But then after a short time, he started to want his beloved Krishna. He wanted to go embrace Lord Narayan. And he was told by the inhabitants there, we don't do that. No, it's on reverence here. Well, you're in Vaikuntha, you see. You're in the home of Lord Narayan. There is no birth, death, disease, and old age there. A lot of people would think, oh, this is heaven. This is it. This is the ultimate. But Gopakumar, being a devotee of Krishna before he left his body, he wanted the whole enchilada. He wanted Krishna. I want my beloved Krishna. So Prabhupada is driving that point home. Worship Krishna. I worship Govinda. No. Krishna is also Lord Jagannath. So in case you're wondering there, Bhakti Freddy, you're worshiping Krishna by your Lord Jagannath. So I'm not saying you have to give up. You don't have to give up your Lord Jagannath. Please don't.
Well, speaking about Lord Jagannath, does his worship take you to Govindalok? I mean, Golok Vrindavan, or does it take you to a different place where you could exercise that rasa?
He takes you. He is Krishna. He takes you right to Goloka Vrindavan.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you, sir.
If we know the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, he worshipped Lord Jagannath. And Lord Chaitanya wanted nothing but Krishna. So Lord Jagannath is Krishna. You've got Krishna, Balaram, and their little sister Subhadra. They're all there. Prabhupada says, concentration of the mind on the form of Krishna constitutes the most confidential part of knowledge. And this is disclosed to Arjuna because Arjuna is the most dear friend of Krishna's. How is it then, if you've got the Supreme Personality of Godhead and he's having a conversation with his dearmost friend, and therefore this most confidential knowledge is being disclosed from the ultimate source to his very most and dearmost friend, how is it that it's coming to you? That kind of sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? You know how they have these things on the internet about they're telling you some product they want you to buy, and they say this is a product that doctors don't want you to know about, because it's gonna, you eat these seeds and you don't need to take any medicine or something like that. The doctors don't want you to know about that. So because we're in this world of being cheated, we see this cheating, and Mama always told you that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So here we are. Analyze what's in front of us here. You've got that supreme source of all knowledge, and this most confidential of all knowledge, not just spiritual knowledge, the most confidential of all knowledge to be had is being shared from that supreme source to his dearmost friend. How are you getting it? Doesn't that sound a little fishy? It does to me. Except Krishna is your dearmost lover. This is Krishna's mercy that he spoke Bhagavad-Gita to Arjuna. When he spoke to Arjuna, the whole world was listening. Everyone on the battlefield was listening to what Krishna was saying to Arjuna. It wasn't like he was whispering Bhagavad-Gita, these 700 verses, into Arjuna's ear. No, the world stopped. It's like now we have this epidemic and the world is pretty much locked down. The world stopped. It's like the clock stopped ticking because this information from the supreme source of information was being released, not just to Arjuna, but for the benefit of everyone who was there hearing and for everyone who will hear in time going forward. 5,000 years later, here we are getting to hear this. Why? Out of nothing but mercy. It's the mercy of Krishna coming to us through his devotees. When you distribute a Bhagavad-Gita to someone, you're including them into this conversation between the supreme source of information and his dearmost beloved friend. You see? So we're lucky. We're fortunate. We have fallen under Krishna's tremendous mercy. It's out of his kindness that he sends his devotees. You get to associate with his devotees. It's like if a very wealthy, powerful man likes you a great deal, he may let you associate with his children. So when you get to associate with the devotees of Krishna, it's very much like that. Krishna is allowing you to associate with his sweet children. And he knows that these children, his devotees, will propagate the holy names. Sooner or later, when you're around the devotee of Krishna, you're going to hear someone chanting or saying, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And talking this philosophy, this very same conversation between Krishna and Arjuna will be repeated by his devotees. Why is that? Because they do that all of their life. So I'm going to go into the next verse. I'm going to pause and see, are there any questions or comments at this time?
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask about when I was asking myself, like, how do we get to this lineage? I realized that not Arjuna is in our parampara, but Vyasadeva is in the parampara, and I just wonder, like, where was he in this time? Like, was he able to see the battlefield in his heart, like Sanjaya, or was he in the battle himself? Vyasadeva.
Actually, Arjuna is in our sampradaya. You know, yeah. The lineage goes actually all the way back, but it's being Krishna is that guru to Arjun, and from Arjun the lineage starts. The science of Krishna consciousness at that particular time that Krishna was here had for the most part been lost, you see. So Krishna is saying, originally I spoke this Bhagavad-Gita to the sun god, Vivishwan, you see. Now I'm speaking it to you because it had been lost over time for the most part. So Krishna, he's there 5,000 years ago to reestablish religiosity. And so he's telling it to Arjuna. And then, from then forward, our plan goes.
Sure, I thought that
Vyasadeva is back before.
I thought that it was from Brahma to Narad Muni to Vyasadeva.
That's
and
true.
then- and in some other direction, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. That was long before this conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. Brahma to Narad, Narad to Vyasadeva, and the lineage goes, but a long time it started to fade, you see. So then Krishna comes as himself. He had been so many times, but he comes 5,000 years ago as Krishna, his original self. And he imparted this knowledge to Arjuna for our benefit. So, any more questions before I move on?
I got a question.
Yeah.
So, what about just because it's actually been on my mind today, like devotees of Rama, devotees of other forms of God, what is their destination in the spiritual sky?
You will get whoever it is that you favor. You will join them in the spiritual sky. It's very amazing. Or Prabhupada says here, these words stress that one should concentrate his mind upon Krishna, the very form with two hands carrying a flute, the bluish boy with beautiful face, peacock feathers in his hair. There are descriptions of Krishna found in Brahma Samhita and other literatures. One should fix his mind on the original form of Godhead, Krishna. One should not even divert his attention to other forms of the Lord. The Lord has multi-forms as Vishnu, Narayan, Ram, Varaha, etc. But a devotee should concentrate his mind on the form that was present before Arjuna, this young cowherd boy. What happens if I focus my mind on Lord Narayan? If he becomes my principal deity, at the time of death, I go to Lord Narayan's planet in Vaikuntha. Lord Narayan is Krishna, but he's not Krishna. He's Narayan. Lord Narayan is very, very, he inspires great awe and reverence. When you see him, he takes your breath, but you don't run up and embrace him. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
With Krishna, you run up and grab him. You see? So Krishna he's the supreme source of of Godhead. He's the supreme source of everything. So with Krishna, he's just Krishna, the two-armed form of Krishna. So very, very much more approachable than any other form of Godhead. But if you're attracted to other personalities, personalities of Krishna, then go for it. However, Prabhupada is saying his recommendation is pursue this Krishna. Go for Krishna. If you go for Krishna, you'll get Krishna. If you get Krishna, you're not going to be lamenting, oh, I wish I had Narayan. Oh, I wish I had Vishnu. You see? You've got Krishna. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess this is kind of conjecture, but like, say a devotee, someone who's like a Christian, been a Christian their whole life, very pious, vegetarian, what about their destination?
They go to Lord Jesus Christ. If you're a Christian, if you're a devout Christian, by every definition of being a Christian, then at the time of death, you go to Jesus. And Jesus fulfills his promise. He'll take you to his Father. Lord Jesus Christ, Lord Jesus Christ is still here in this material world. He's on the highest, I think it's Brahmalok, Indralok, one of the highest of all the heavenly planets. He's there. And at the time of death, if you're fixed on him, you get what the Bible says. You go to heaven. And heaven is, as a matter of fact, the description in Srimad Bhagavatam of heaven is the same as the Bible. Streets are made of gold and the gates are made of pearls. Yet the Vedic literatures were written many thousands of years before the Bible. So, but it says you actually go, Lord Jesus Christ is in that heaven, but it's still it's a part of the material world. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. For all intents and purposes, it is heaven, but it's not even into the Vaikuntha realm. It's not eternal. It lasts so long that it's like it's eternal, but it's not. You see, it is part of the material world. And Lord Jesus is there, and when you go to him, he will train you up and take you to his Father, Krishna.
I see. Thank you, Gurudev.
My pleasure. Anybody else before we go on? Good. Bhagavad-Gita, 1866. Another famous verse. Sarva dharma parityagya mam ekam saranam braja aham tvam sarva bhavayo moksha yashyami ma suchaha. Translation. Again, Krishna is laying it on the table here. Abandon all varieties of religion. Just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So think about what Krishna is saying. He's talking to his dearmost friend. He's imparting the most confidential of all knowledge. Not just spiritual knowledge, all knowledge. This is the ultimate secret. And Krishna is saying, hey, here's my secret. Abandon all forms of religion. Arjuna is like, what? And everyone else is, what's he saying? This is huge. This is huge information. Abandon all varieties of religion. How could God say that? Give up religion? But he says, just surrender unto me. Dump the religion. Become my loving devotee. Just surrender unto me. If you do that, I will deliver you from sinful reactions.
I have a question, Gurudev.
Yeah.
I know we understand that, basically Krishna is saying, abandon these different processes to get to me. You can get me directly. What do we do with things like rituals? Are rituals important then? I mean, we have a lot of rituals in our tradition, in our movement. So what are they all about? If Krishna's saying abandon all, just surrender to me, and what's the point of all the rituals and all the yagyas and everything?
Good question. Let me refer you to the previous verse where Krishna says, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage to me. So it's easy for us to confuse the so-called rituals that we have with religion. Because Krishna is saying, always think of me. Part of thinking of him is offering him some puja. You see? Is it a ritual or is it just an act of love? Is it, if you're totally in love, if you buy flowers for your wife, is it a ritual or are you expressing your love? Now, if you take away the personality of Godhead, in other words, if Krishna is just the universe or just some energy or something, and you're offering some flowers, that's a ritual. That's a religious kind of a thing, you see. Because you're making a loving offering, there's no loving recipient. You see? So, does that make any sense?
Totally.
When you add that personality, and Prabhupada is saying, offer this to Krishna, that two-armed form that's talking with Arjuna. Get to know him personally. And so it's like if I know you personally. I have a love for you. So if I offer you something, that's not religion. That's not a ritual. I feel it. I'm thinking I want to give you something. Please accept this. Take away love and devotion, it becomes a ritual. If it's offered in love and devotion, now it's part of a relationship. You see what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, absolutely great question. Good observation. You see? This shows that you're thinking, and weighing this. Yeah, Krishna says abandon all religion. Does that mean we close the temples? No, because he says, I want you to worship me. Why does Krishna want you to worship him? Because he knows you want to. You get great pleasure in showing your love to Krishna on a personal, loving basis. That's what you're made of. That is your eternal nature. You see, this is the reason why you exist, to show your love to Krishna. So for you to be happy, he knows this, so he's saying, worship me. Always think of me. I know that'll make you happy. The parent always wants the very best for the child. He's always making the best suggestion for the child to be happy. So Krishna knows that for you to be happy, you got to always think of me. You're not going to be happy unless you're my devotee. You're not going to be happy unless you worship me. You're not going to be happy unless you offer your homage to me. So, and you're not going to be happy unless you come to me. Ultimately, you want to come to me. I know that. You are my part and parcel. I know what makes you tick. You see? So he's telling, this is the most confidential knowledge between the soul and the living, between the soul, the living entity, and God. This is the most confidential. This is the end of the trail for spiritual realization. There's nothing beyond it. Absolutely nothing. All other parts of spiritual life, spiritual perception, are steps towards this ultimate end right here. Therefore, it's said to be the most confidential knowledge. This is the hardest knowledge for a spiritualist to get. It's the most difficult. Unless you get the mercy of Krishna's devotee. You meet a devotee of Krishna and you get all this, you see. So one of the things that this lockdown has denied us is physical association with Krishna's devotees. But one thing that it's given us is more association talking about Krishna, you see. There are more people right now that are discussing Krishna Katha than ever before within our movement. Because a lot of times when we get together, there's a little bit of, after the Krishna Katha, there's a little bit of talk about maybe some non-devotional things. We'll be talking about a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Have you noticed how most of that's gone now, isn't it? I don't have, now look at that, see how the devotees are behaving. I don't have your personal association. So when I do get your personal association, what are we talking about? We're talking about Krishna. We don't sit around and talk about politics or, you see what I mean?
Right.
So this is the golden lining that I was talking about. Prabhupada says in the purport, the Lord has described various kinds of knowledge and processes of religion. Knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, knowledge of the Supersoul, knowledge of the different types of orders, and the statuses of social life, knowledge of the renounced order of life, knowledge of non-attachment, sense and mind control, meditation, etc. Krishna has gone through everything. He's talked about all of it. He has described in so many different ways different types of religion. Now, in summarizing Bhagavad-Gita, the Lord says that Arjuna should give all these processes that have been explained to him. He should simply surrender to Krishna. If you notice through the Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna is giving all these, he's talking about Jnana Yoga, he's talking about this kind of yoga, he's talking about Ashtanga Yoga, how you should sit on a kusa grass mat with a deer skin in a secluded place. Krishna is giving all of this. And Arjuna is like, well, but what's your ultimate secret? And so Krishna has gone and built this beautiful picture of religion. And so finally, in closing, he said, now give all that up. Don't do any of that. Don't do any of it. Don't become an official meditator. Don't do any of this. All I want you to do is just surrender to me, become my devotee. Become my loving devotee, and I will deliver you, which means you're already delivered. You see? If Krishna says, I will deliver you, that means it's finished. You're delivered. Your beautiful fate of going back home, back to Godhead is assured as soon as you surrender to Krishna. Okay? Prabhupada goes on, that surrender will save him, you, Arjuna, from all kinds of sinful reactions, for the Lord personally promises to protect you. In the 7th chapter, it was said that only one who has become free from all sinful reactions can take to the worship of Lord Krishna. Thus, one may think that unless he is free from all sinful reactions, he cannot take to the surrendering process. However, To such doubts, it is here said that even if one is not free from all sinful reactions, simply by the process of surrendering to Sri Krishna, he is automatically freed. There is no need of strenuous effort to free oneself from sinful reactions. Does that make any sense? You see how that works? In other words, I don't have to become freed before I do this, before I can approach Krishna and surrender to him. We're all contaminated in our consciousness, and we're all sinners, and we've come short of the glories of God. How do they say that?
I think that was right.
How do they say that in church?
I think that's pretty close, Gary Dave.
Yeah, well, we've all sinned and fallen short of the gracious glory of God.
Yeah.
All right. You may say that. I agree with you. Now, to eradicate all that problem that you're carrying around, all this sinful gobbledygook that you're carrying with you birth after birth, Krishna is saying, just surrender to me. That's it. You get to cut in front of the line, surrender to me, and I will deliver you. What happens with all this sinful activity that you've got? It gets burned up through the surrendering process. Now, what is the surrendering process? Krishna doesn't say, actually, he's not telling you to surrender directly to him. If we want to surrender directly to Krishna, what will Krishna do? Does anybody know? What do you think will happen if you decide, I want to surrender directly to Krishna? Huh?
I think Krishna is like the internal manifestation, and then the Guru is the external manifestation. So he puts us in the parampara.
Bingo. When you want to surrender to Krishna and Krishna tastes sincerity, then he gives you the external representation of Godhead, and that is Guru. So that surrender goes, and during that process, the sins are gone. The sins are wiped out. They go away. So, great observation, Bhakta Freddy. Wait, am I going to take some more pills? I'm taking 400,000 international units of vitamin A for 2 days. This is my second day, so got to eat a lot of pills.
Vitamins. Does anyone have any other questions?
Yeah, any other questions? Prabhupada goes on. There is no need for strenuous effort to free oneself from sinful reactions. One should unhesitatingly accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. With faith and love, one should surrender unto him. The process of surrender to Krishna is described in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. Anukulasya sankalpaha pratikulasya varjanam rakshishati vishvaso go ritve varanam tatha atma nikshepa karpanye sadhya saranagatahi. According to the devotional process, one should simply accept such religious principles that will lead ultimately to the devotional service of the Lord. So there's another part of your answer. The devotional process, we will accept such religious principles that lead us to the devotional service of the Lord. Rising early in the morning, chanting Hare Krishna, offering some puja, offering all of our food to Krishna, taking that food, honoring prasadam, you see, that's worship. The devotee, he offers nice foodstuffs to Krishna, And then to honor that, he takes it. You see? Can you imagine if you went to somebody's house and they made some nice preparation and they offer it to you and you accept it? And then you notice they won't eat it? Can you imagine that? And you say, well, but you're not eating. Oh, no, I don't want any of that. I just made that for you. So if you make something for Krishna, well, you should honor it and take it with him, you see. Does that make any sense? So it's a whole science of prasadam and honoring prasadam. Prasadam is Krishna. We have to be very careful. When we eat, we're not eating. We're honoring Krishna. We're honoring Krishna becomes the offering when we offer it to him. So this is Krishna we're dealing with. So, okay, Prabhupada goes on. One may perform a particular occupational duty according to his position in the social order. But if by executing his duty one does not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, all his activities are in vain. Wow, what's he saying there? He says you can perform a particular occupational duty according to your position in the social order, but if by executing this duty you do not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, then you've wasted your time. So, but if you're doing your occupational duty as a real estate agent, a school teacher, a university teacher, whatever, if you're doing that as an offering to Guru and Krishna, it positively will help you come to the point of Krishna consciousness. You have to have faith that it will. Okay? So it's not that when you're in the temple chanting Hare Krishna, that's spiritual, and if I'm at work in the office, that's all mundane. That is Kanishta understanding. That's kindergarten devotee understanding. Okay? So, what is that note you're putting up there? No.
I'm simply reminding everyone, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I also put the link on there because I'll be uploading this lecture or this class on there. And if you hit the bell, then you always get the notifications.
Oh, that's what you mean by hit the bell.
Yeah.
I saw that message and I was looking around. What bell am I supposed to hit?
The virtual one.
All right. You can teach an old dog new tricks. Just not many, and it takes longer, okay? So, Prabhupada goes on. One should be confident.
Dave, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
About what you're saying just now, in regards to offering, like in your occupational duty, doing that for Krishna. What can you give me an example of what that actually looks like? Does that mean, offering money, or is it more of like a mentality? Well, I'm going to do this for Krishna, or I'm going to do this because I know it's going to help facilitate me doing my service, i.e., having food, having money to buy food, to offer food to Krishna, et cetera, et cetera. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, all the above. Everything you said is right on. It's a bullseye. You're thinking, I need money. I need Lakshmi to operate in this material world. Everyone does. And so for me to have a temple for Krishna, your house is your griha is temple for Krishna. You do some worship there. You have some picture or deities or something. So therefore, you're offering your prasadam to Krishna. So you need a nice kitchen, clean kitchen, some nice, you also need to get bhoga, fruits and vegetables to offer to Krishna, milk products and grains. So this is all, so in other words, for you to perform your daily activities of showing and demonstrating your love for Krishna through your puja, cooking, offering, you need a place and you need those articles to offer. So your occupation will give you that. It will give you that facility to do, for you to perform your devotional activity. Does that make any sense? So you get to
Yes, thank you.
yeah. So, and not only that, there's another part to that. If I know in my heart and I'm meditating on being Krishna's devotee, then I'm going to be better at my job than I would be otherwise. You see what I mean? If I'm an accountant, I'm Krishna's accountant. And sooner or later, most of the time, people are going to learn that you're a devotee of Krishna. So if you're a rotten guy, if you're a rotten accountant and you treat people nasty, that's going to reflect badly on Krishna, isn't it? So people are going to think, oh, these Hare Krishnas, this Krishna and all of his devotees, they're all nonsense. This guy's a jerk, you see? So because you're representing Krishna, it's just natural that you're going to be kind of nice, honest, straightforward, you see? So the side effect of being a devotee is you're a better person. Does that make sense? It makes you into a much better person. Whatever your occupation is, you will do it better as a devotee. So one should be confident that in all circumstances, Krishna will protect him from all difficulties. There is no need of thinking how one should keep the body and soul together. Krishna will see to that. One should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. Very important point, especially in this time we find ourselves in right now. Let me repeat it. Prabhupada says one should be confident that in all circumstances, Krishna will protect him from all difficulties. There is no need of thinking how one should keep the body and soul together. Krishna will see to that. One should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. This is highly confidential. Only a bhakti yogi is going to think like this. Now, sometimes we see, sometimes the Christians are thinking like something like this too. There is, when you're feeling that way towards God, my dear Lord, whether you're a Christian or a Hare Krishna or whatever, my dear Lord, I'm fully dependent on you. You're my only hope. That is bhakti. That's bhakti. My dear Lord, you are my only hope. I surrender to you. The difference is the bhakti yogi is able to maintain this meditation on a 24-hour basis. You see, we don't switch to, my dear Lord, I'm so dependent on you and you're so wonderful and everything. Okay, now give me some stuff. You see, here's my list of what I want from you. That's pious. But in this upper crust of worship of the Supreme, we just realize, Krishna, you'll always take care of me. I know you'll take care of me. There's no need of thinking how one should keep the body and soul together. Krishna will see to that. So I like what Prabhupada says. He says this in many different places. One should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna his only basis for his progress in life. This is the big feature of the gopis. They saw themselves as completely helpless and totally dependent on Krishna. Their love was so intense, and their understanding of their relationship with Krishna was so perfected that they can understand, my dear Krishna, you're my only hope. I depend on you for everything. I'm fully dependent on you, my Lord. You see? Now, isn't that better than saying, all right, I want a pony for Christmas, and I want a BMW, and I want this, and I want that? No, I'm fully dependent on you, and I want you to just take care of me, or not. I just want to worship you, but I want you to know that I'm fully dependent on you because you're the source of everything. You're my only source. Krishna is the only basis for progress in life. We have to remember that. Prabhupada goes on, as soon as one seriously engages himself in devotional service to the Lord in full Krishna consciousness, at once he becomes freed from all contamination of material nature. Bold statement. We've heard this before. Prabhupada says this in different places. He goes on, there are different processes of religion and purificatory processes by cultivation of knowledge, meditation in the mystic yoga system, etc. But one who surrenders unto Krishna does not have to execute so many methods. That simple surrender unto Krishna will save him from unnecessarily wasting time. This is so hard to get through to someone who's fixed in they're an official meditator, or they've got some relationship going on between them and the universe. You see, you're wasting a lot of time here. You can actually have Krishna by surrendering to him right now. You see, so that's an extremely important point. One can thus make all progress at once and be freed from all sinful reactions. This is going to happen to you like right away. You're going to feel the difference right away, or double your money back. That's like advertising. And I'm not getting any. See, this is the downside of doing this online. I don't get any laughs. Of course, I don't get any laughs when we're together anyway. So anyway,
I'm giving you some emoji. I've been using some emoji laughs. I think
that's
there you
good.
go. Dr. Freddy was too. Everyone, give Guru Dev an emoji laugh.
Yeah, give me an emoji laugh here. Come on, humor me. At least let me know that you're like, I don't know, awake. Gee, I'd get more laughs if I gave this lecture in a cemetery.
No, Guru Dev, we're all thoroughly enjoying.
Emojis. All right.
So we're all in. You have us all in samadhi, Guru Dev.
Yeah, or something. Samadhi or coma.
It's a tough crowd, Guru Dev. It's a tough crowd.
Yeah. It's a tough. Okay. Moving right along. There are different kinds of transcendentalists. Some of them are attached to the impersonal Brahman vision. Some of them are attached by the super soul feature, etc. But one who is attracted to the personal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that would be Krishna, and above all, one who is attracted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Krishna himself is the most perfect transcendentalist. Prabhupada drives that home again. Okay? So this is just FYI. In other words, devotional service to Krishna in full Krishna consciousness is the most confidential part of knowledge. And this is the essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Karma yogis, empiric philosophers, mystics, and devotees are all called transcendentalists. But one who is a pure devotee is the best of all. This is not just a religious opinion. Prabhupada is giving this opinion, which comes handed down directly from Krishna through the disciplic succession. This is not just a general opinion. It's not just one man's opinion. This is the absolute opinion coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is a pure devotee is best of all. That is the ultimate goal. And in closing, Prabhupada says the particular words used here are ma suchaha. Don't fear. Don't hesitate. Don't worry. These are significant. One may be perplexed as to how one can give up all kinds of religious forms and surrender unto Krishna, but such worry is useless. So let me read those verses together, back to back. Krishna, first of all, says, think of me, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage to me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. And then he says, abandon all forms of religion. I missed it, hold on. Abandon all forms of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. This is a very intimate conversation, you see. You notice Krishna's not, there's no hellfire and brimstone here. He's crying out to Arjuna, please do this. I want you to. It's for your benefit. If you'll do this, if you'll become my loving associate, I'll deliver you to the ultimate destination. It's not like I'm just going to help you out of the predicament that you find yourself in currently. No, I'll take you all the way to me, which includes my home, my abode. But you get me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Lover. So, are there any questions, comments, anything?
Now's the time. Don't be afraid.
Now's the time. Speak
on,
now.
guys.
Speak
Forever.
now or hold your peace.
I have a question. If it's unrelated, can I ask it?
Sure, go ahead.
I have a really strong calling to Vishnu and Shiva. What is the proper way to give devotion to them?
Well, you can continue to worship Shiva and Vishnu, but it's like if there are leaves on a plant that you have that are getting a little dry, and that means you're not paying enough attention. So you want to get water in those leaves on your plant. If you pour water directly on those leaves, it doesn't really do much good, does it? It may help a little tiny bit, but if you pour water on the root of that bush, that tree, or that plant, then that water is circulated to the whole plant and those leaves will get it. So Lord Shiva, for instance, one of his names is Mahadev, the great devotee. So we recognize him as the greatest Vaishnava. So he's the great Mahadeva. Maha means great, Deva, devotee. So he's Mahadev. He's the great devotee. Devotee of who? He's a devotee of Krishna. Don't you think that he would be very happy with you if you also love his beloved Krishna? You see, he is, in other words, he is right there with you in your loving worship of Krishna. Does that make any sense? Who was that, Joe? Joseph?
Yeah, that makes sense. I do all three, Krishna, Shiva, and Vishnu right now, and I just wanted to make sure that if there's separate like ways to do it for each one, so not to be disrespectful.
Main thing is to worship Krishna, as Prabhupada is pointing out here in the purport. Give most of your attention to Krishna, this two-armed form of Krishna. And then if you're worshiping Krishna, you can also observe Lord Vishnu. You may offer some incense to Lord Shiva, if you like. We celebrate Shivaratri, his Lord Shiva's birthday, you see. But Prabhupada has gone out of the way here to mention that we should focus our attention and our love towards Krishna. If you do, you get Krishna. You'll achieve Krishna.
Radha has something to say.
Can I add something?
Sure. Hare Krishna, Radha Sundari. It's a treat to hear your voice.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. I was just thinking, like, for example, in my altar, like, if I can show you guys, in my altar, one way to do it too is in my altar, if you see, I have Gaurnitai, I have Radha Krishna, I have Jagannath, I have Lord Nrsingadev. So one way of doing it, and I even have a little Shiva Lingam right here.
Oh.
So one way to do it is just simply when you in your altar, just put your sacred, your sacred deities and things that are close to your heart. And when you're offering to all of them together because they're connected in one way or another.
Excellent point. Yeah. You can put them all together like that on your altar. And when you're doing puja, do puja to each one of them. You see? You don't have to say, well, I'm just going to do puja today to Lord Shiva, or I'm going to do puja to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is the appearance of Krishna when Krishna comes to the material world to handle maintenance of this world, creation, annihilation, like that, maintaining. Then he comes as Vishnu, you see. Vishnu is not as approachable as Lord Krishna. Does anyone know why? Why is Krishna
work?
Say what?
I said he's too busy with work.
That's one reason, yeah. But think about it. Krishna only has two arms, and what does he have in his hands?
Krishna?
Yeah.
He has a flute.
Okay. So Vishnu has 4 arms, 4 hands. What does he have in his hands?
Mace. Conch.
Lotus flower, the Sudarshan chakra.
Yeah.
Right. He's armed. Those are all weapons. And even that lotus flower is a weapon.
Right.
The Sudarshan chakra is a representation of time. And it's like it's more dangerous than a weapon, than a laser. You see, it can cut through anything. It can destroy anything because time destroys anything in this material world. So Lord Vishnu has 4 arms and he's heavily armed. I should see some emojis up there. That was pretty funny, I thought. He's 4-armed. I'll say it again. He's 4-armed and heavily armed.
Everyone laugh. Everyone laugh.
All right. There we go. That's what I like to get from having all of you together. A good laugh. Yeah, so Vishnu is, he's got 4 arms and he's got weapons, he's ready to throw down. So he's not as approachable as Krishna, who's playing this sweet flute. you know, and Krishna's ready to take that flute in one hand and embrace you if you get close enough to where he can reach you. You see, Krishna's ready for the embrace. So he ultimately is more attractive. So I'm not saying give up all worship of Shiva and Vishnu. Better than worship of Shiva and Vishnu is worship of Shiva and Vishnu along with the worship of the personality Krishna. So, good question, Joe. Anybody else? Any
I was,
other?
I was thinking about how when we think of Shiva, we think about material benedictions, right? He's considered a material benedictor.
Yeah.
However, what's not mentioned very often is that he's also the greatest spiritual benedictor. So so the devotee approaches Lord Shiva in this mood, help increase my devotion to Krishna. So whenever I think about Lord Shiva, I always think about how he can give us the benediction to get that much closer to Krishna, and that's how I approach Lord Shiva personally, and I like to approach him in that way. And I think that ultimately he is wanting to give that spiritual benediction because it's the ultimate goal. It's the highest gift, the most valuable gift that you can have.
Exactly. I just put yourself in Lord Shiva's place. Now, Lord Shiva is known for being very easily pleased. He's
Right.
very easily pleased. He's also very easily angered.
Right.
But he's used to people approaching him for material benedictions. And he grants material benedictions. But he's used to that, you see. If you come along and suddenly you want pure love of Godhead, well, then he recognizes you as a fellow devotee of Krishna. See what I mean? So you're going to win his favor a lot more than the people who are just asking for money or women, power, you see. Great demonic personalities were devotees of Shiva, you see. Hiranyakashipu, also Ravan. Ravan was a devotee of Shiva, you see. So even the demons of the older past ages, they were spiritual enough to worship Shiva, but for material benefit, you see. So the devotee, we're always asking for pure love of Godhead. If we're asking Lord Nrsingadev for protection, what is it? Think about this. Some of you may know the answer. Well, what is it? How does this protection manifest? We say, my dear Lord Nrsingadev, Namaste Narasimhaya. Please protect what? What is it the devotee wants protected?
Our devotional creeper.
It's the devotional creeper. You know, we're not asking Lord Nrsingadev, you might, but it's not very advanced. We're not asking Lord Nrsingadev, oh, please protect my body, you know, please protect my health. You could, but as long as you have Lord Nrsingadev's attention, ask him to protect your most valuable thing, and that's your devotional creeper, this sprout of devotion. My dear Lord Nrsingadev, please see that I never lose that. I have this, I'm on my way to Krishna. Please remove any obstacle. Protect me from any obstacle that will impede me from getting my embrace with Krishna. Other than that, you could ask him for some other benediction. Protect my body, protect this, protect that. Save my friend, save that. That's okay, but it's not top, it's not first class.
Excellent. Gurudev, I wanted to add something about Shiva here that I have in this Krishna Avatar art book that I thought was really interesting. And Joseph, you might appreciate this. When you think about Lord Shiva, there's so many conceptions of Shiva. Even before I came to Krishna consciousness, I thought about Lord Shiva in so many different ways. But this to me was like the ultimate. And what it says here is that he's the master of tamas. Shiva's not subject to it as the master of tamas. So, and tamas is the mode of ignorance, you know, the mode of darkness. Yet he feels compassion for those who are attracted to and ultimately overcome by it. And then these are the spirits that surround him, the ghosts and the ghouls and the goblins that go bump in the night, right? And because these beings are subtle, they're not bound by the confines of a physical body. And they can take, basically, they can shapeshift into whatever form they like. But one of the things that I really like in this description here, it says here, it is said that out of his kindness, he wanders the earth with his followers when day meets night, so he can help them leave their suffering, ghostly existence, and find opportunities for a suitable rebirth. So ultimately, it's his compassion. And he's ultimately wanting these people to take another birth so that they can get to rekindle their loving relationship with Krishna, because he knows that that's what they need. So this is Lord Shiva's heart. This is amazing.
It's a strong point. Many people know that Lord Shiva is the Lord and Master of the ghost goblins and things that go bump in the night. Many people know that, but it doesn't mean that they just get together and have parties in the mode of ignorance together and go haunt together. Lord Shiva takes them under his wing and ultimately wants them, without his help, they're going to stay in those subtle ghostly bodies for a long, long time. But with the help of Lord Shiva, they can get transferred back into a gross body, which they can use to worship Krishna and surrender to Krishna, become Krishna's devotee, and ultimately go back home, back to Godhead. So you can see there's a much bigger picture above and beyond what many people believe to be religion, or the full story of religion. So if we take, for instance, the Shaivites, the people who worship Lord Shiva, there's a very big picture to just who this Shiva is and what he ultimately is up to. What does he want? He wants to take you back to Godhead. Ultimately, he wants to take you to Krishna. Now, you may get caught up in just worshiping Shiva and asking him for all types of worldly desires, like most of his followers do. That's okay, but according to Prabhupada in his purport, that's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Why would you want to do that when you can actually have Krishna? You can ask Shiva, Lord Shiva, please give me Krishna. You see, that would make him very happy.
When I occasionally think of Shiva, I always when I was introduced to the idea of Shiva and Brahma, I was introduced to Shiva as the destroyer god and the one who at the end of the material manifestation destroys the material existence. So I often think of Shiva and ask Shiva to destroy my material desires, my material needs, material wants, so that I can further progress my spiritual desires and spiritual wants.
Excellent. Good thought. In other words, you're getting personal with Lord Shiva. You're a destroyer. I've got some things I'd like you to destroy. Destroy my material desires. You know, can you help a guy out here? So, Lord Vishnu, you're a creator. All right, create my spiritual desires. This is the nature of somebody who's focused on getting Krishna. I want Krishna, and I'm not going to let anything get between me and Krishna. I will be successful. I will obtain Krishna. You see, If you have that resolute determination, you will get Krishna. So, anything else?
To me, I resonate with what you're saying. Like I think of it kind of like a bonsai tree. Like watering the bonsai tree is the love for Krishna and the root of the love, and giving some time to Shiva and Vishnu is like trimming and adorning the branches of that bonsai, and together it feels like a really powerful love. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your opinion, Govinda Madhava?
My opinion about what Joe just said.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, he's the root. And then, Lord Shiva and Vishnu and Brahma. We got the creator, the maintainer, the annihilator, holding these different posts in these different positions, but ultimately adorning the branches of this beautiful tree.
I have a question, Gurudev.
Yeah.
How do we? So we know that these different there's obviously different forms of God, different manifestations, and some people are more attracted to some than others. Some are more attracted to, Shiva or Durga or whatever. And we can have this perspective where we are understanding that we are all kind of trying to perceive the same thing, albeit from a different perspective. How do we communicate with other people? How do we share our experiences with other people and try to connect with them without putting them off by saying, well, he's the source of them all, because in some experiences I've had that can be kind of a put off to other people. And, you might be sincere in trying to get people to understand, but you might just end up coming off very oh, well, what makes you so what makes you so right? What kind of tips or tricks can we use to help facilitate connection with other people who are on a spiritual path, but maybe worshiping in a different form of God? Does that make sense?
No, it does. And you're exactly right. We sometimes have to be very careful how we present what we're presenting to people. In other words, it's like this. It's better if I just glorify Krishna and the reciprocation that I get from Krishna. Who is Krishna? Why, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why do I say he's the Supreme? Am I saying my God's better than your God? No, it's the same God. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And sometimes we have to explain to people, God is unlimited. He has unlimited personalities. So of these unlimited personalities, Krishna says that he's the supreme of his unlimited personalities, meaning that love is supreme, and this supreme personality of Krishna is the one that you can share direct love with. You see? Who else preaches that? Who else says my Godhead, my Shiva, or my Vishnu, or my Buddha, whoever, even in Christian, Jesus Christ, who else preaches that you're going to have this direct, personal, affectionate love affair with the Supreme Godhead? You see? Typically because people aren't thinking that you can have such a love affair or such a relationship with this Supreme Godhead. You see what I mean? it gets interpreted as on reverence, or the supreme order supplier, or the supreme punisher. You know, you better do it, or he's going to whack you real good. You see, so I'm thinking my personality of Godhead is supreme, but you can't say no, yours isn't supreme, mine is supreme. You can, but you describe Krishna and the relationship that you have and or are aspiring for with Krishna, one of love, close love. And as we glorify Krishna, which is one of the things that the devotee does or should do on an increasing basis, people learn the ultimate attraction that Krishna has. He's the most beautiful. He's the ultimate attractive object. He's the supreme lover. You see, he is. As we describe this personality of Krishna, people can start to see, I like this concept of God, but we're not telling them that your concept of God is not real. You know, we don't say there's no Shiva. We don't say there's no Buddha. We don't say there's no Lord Jesus Christ. But we say, you know, here, let me introduce you to Krishna. And we describe Krishna and our relationship with Krishna. You see? And we describe Krishna's personality. He's the supreme personality. Gee whiz, tell me something about that personality. So we may discuss Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, pastimes with his devotees, pastimes as the hero, you know, who's killing demons to protect everyone. You see? So in other words, we build Krishna up enough to where other people become attracted to Krishna. But you have to be kind of careful, because sometimes people, they're in material consciousness, you see, so they see it as something to compete about. You see what I mean? They're ready to compete. They want to, the people that are in material consciousness are always trying to dominate. You get into a debate. You know, they want to debate and win. Is it that they want to establish the absolute truth? Basically, no, they want to win. Because if I can't let you win, because if you beat me, now that's embarrassing, especially if there's other people around. You see what I mean? So they're not focused on, let's discover the absolute truth, because heck, I'm not looking for the absolute truth. I'm really just looking for someone to give me some good stuff, you know, and maybe somebody to protect me from going to hell. And I've got that in my, whoever the personality is that they worship, you see. I've got somebody that if I take care of them and keep them happy, they won't send me to hell. And gee whiz, they give me my daily bread. But wait a minute, you're talking about a God that does all that. Why, that's really wonderful. You see, not only is he my order supplier, and he protects me, and he won't send me to hell. You know, he's saying, you just surrender to me, and I'll bring you to me. I'll get you in my embrace. If we state that enough, that becomes very attractive to people. Does that make any sense? Does that answer your question? You have to be careful. People often have tender tongues. Because ultimately, a lot of times, they just want to be right. You know? They want to be more right than you are. So, what else?
Thank you, Gurudev. Thank you for answering my question.
My pleasure.
If I may, Gurudev, I was going to add one thing that
Yeah.
I found kind of important. I know that times when I've approached people like that, I've said that, well, the the concept to look at it this way is like, I guess one of the great saints of India, he was a Mayavadi, but it was Ramakrishna, and he did make a pretty good quote, and that was that there's only one God, but God has many thousand different faces. And so I used to like to just tell people that, that Krishna is just the supreme personality of Godhead. If you really want to know God very closely, then that would be the face that you want to approach. But the others are just as well and legitimate. It's just that if you really want to have that closeness, then that's what you would do. But that way, it doesn't really downsize their face of God. It just says this is the nature of this particular face.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's correct, but that's what I try to tell to them, and that seems to sit very well with people.
I think that's a very good approach. It's not, you're not right away saying, well, heck, my God can beat your God up with one hand tied behind his back. You're saying, oh, God is one. There's one God, but yet he has unlimited personalities. And it just so happens that this Krishna, depending on what you ultimately want from God, and then you can step through the list. Some people want God to give them stuff, daily bread, a pretty wife, whatever, good job, money. Some people want God to not send them to hell. Some people want God to protect them, you see. But a lot of people don't know that the ultimate personality of God gives you all that stuff, but he's so attractive and lovable that you'll want to be by his side all the time. He'll steal your attention and you won't be able to think of anything else or anybody else. You see, he's so attractive that the only people in the ultimate liberation, the only people that you notice are those other people that are in love with him. You see, you notice them because you love him and you're trying to serve him nicely, and you see how nicely they're serving him, which makes you love them. And you think, I'd like to emulate you. I'd like to serve him in that way too. So it's all about love. If you're looking for this high level of love, then Krishna's your guy. If you're not, then I understand. I can't criticize somebody who says, I don't want this love stuff. I just want him to give me stuff. Give me goodies. Don't send me to hell. I'm good. I'm good. I don't want to have a personal loving relationship. I don't want another birthday to have to remember. I just want you to not send me to hell and give me some really good stuff. And I'll try to remember your birthday, So
it's like I kind of have often learned that it's a very sensitive topic, God, for anybody, because it's like poking something that hasn't been poked for a long time, even for somebody who's not very religious, or it's still there. It's always there. It's inherent. Everybody has an inherent desire to move toward God. So, I mean, just in my life, I've experienced it, and even learning how to deal with others, it's a sensitive topic. So, I think there's a certain level of discernment you have to have as give what you can. But, if someone's, trying to, be a great Christian or be a great Shivite, you can always glorify Krishna or glorify Vaishnavism, but you don't want to put down anybody who's trying to make progress, because that's still pious. Exactly.
We don't ever want to be offensive to Lord Buddha or Lord Jesus Christ or Lord Shiva. That's not our nature. It's not the nature of a devotee to be an offender. If anything, the devotee thinks of praise. We want to praise other living entities, even if they're non-devotees. Well, they're still praisable Everybody has some good qualities, and the devotee is very good at seeking out these qualities and identifying. And he may focus just on that. They have this good quality. And someone may say, yeah, but they're a lousy meat eater. Yeah, well, I'm not paying attention to that. They're not eating meat right now. Well, this person, they're in alcohol. They're in intoxication. Yes, but I'm focusing on this very wonderful feature that they have. You see, every living entity. If we can see and identify with people as spirit souls, then we're identifying with them as part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is beautiful. Every little part of him is also beautiful. You see? So we have to see through that. We can't let ourselves start to think, well, my position in worship is better than yours. We can't think like that. I ultimately know that this is what you ultimately want. You want Krishna too. But there's no way that I want to try to overcome your free will to force you to take Krishna right here on the spot. The best thing I can do is just to be as good a devotee as I can and enhance my relationship with Krishna as much as I can. And perhaps you'll find that attractive. That's about it.
And one thing that I was going to highlight that you said earlier today was that Krishna himself says that he is the supreme personality of Godhead.
Yeah, Krishna's pretty bold. He just he just sticks that right out. He throws it in your face. Who else says that?
That's the thing. You won't find that in any other scriptures.
Who says that?
No. Nobody.
That's one of the incredibly lovable things about this Krishna. Who goes there? Who says this? Krishna says he's so cocky, I'm the supreme personality of Godhead. Wow, no, nobody else says that. So he's cocky, but he can back it up. He says, I'm the most beautiful. Well, yeah, you are, So it's not like he's bragging. It ain't bragging if it's true. You see, I'm the most beautiful. Yes, you are. Who can argue with that? Nobody can argue with that. So nobody can even have an opinion if you know the different personalities of Godhead. When Krishna says, I'm the most beautiful, if you know the rest, you have to say, yeah, I agree. Yeah, you're right. So, but he does. He sticks that right in your face, doesn't he? I'm the most beautiful. I'm the supreme. So, he says, I am your dearmost friend and ever well-wisher. He tells you things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. So we are going on an hour and 53 minutes here.
Wow. Time goes, it flies when you're having fun, huh?
Yeah. So if you guys have any final thoughts or anything you'd like to add to the conversation, any reflections, any last minute reflections, now is a good time to do that.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. It's been a delight, and let's do this again. All glories to Srila
Thank you very
Prabhupada.
much.
See you Thursday. What's the time Thursday?
5:30.
5:30 Thursday. That's
Yep.
5:30 Arizona time.
Yep.
Arizona is not on Mountain Time. Arizona doesn't observe. We have to make that clear, Govinda Madhav, when we Because a lot of people think, oh, Arizona, that's mountain time. Well, no, it's not.
Well, what's our time? Because I know Pacific Standard Time is an hour before us. So
Not
like,
now.
huh?
Not now. We're on the same as Pacific.
Okay, we're on the same right now.
Yeah, because we don't observe
Daylight savings.
daylight savings. See, when there's no daylight savings, we're on the same time as El Paso, Mountain Time, and LA would be Pacific Time is 1 hour earlier.
Got it.
But when there's daylight savings time in effect, for whatever reason, Arizona does not observe daylight saving time, so we move to the same time as Pacific time. So there's been a lot of confusion. I see the emails. Well, I thought it was going to be this time.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
We'll have to start that. Thank you guys so much. And
Hare
I'll
Krishna.
see you soon. Hare, Hare.
Hare Hare.
Please join us. Subscribe if you haven't.
Body.
Virtual Closeness on YouTube. Let's get it up to 100 subscribers so that I can finally create a custom link that I can send out.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, guys. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Hare Krishna. Haribo.
Hare